Hello all, welcome to this channel. My name is Kalyan. So in this series we are going to design and build a production grade e-commerce platform. Basically I'm calling it as a ShopSmart. So basically ShopSmart is a kind of online shopping platform where users can browse the products, add the items to the cart and place orders, and we can enhance this one. So basically this is completely built on cloud, AWS cloud. So different kinds of services we're going to use. So in this demo, this is kind of a demo project. This series focus on basically real world architecture used by modern e-commerce platforms. So this can be enhanced with other features like scalability, security, HA and monitoring. So here, let me explain the architecture to you. So this is a kind of VPC what I created here, and some of the components what we are going to build here is like an ALB. This is like a public facing ALB, which is placed in the public subnet. So this is a public subnet. This is a private subnet. So the things what we are going to learn over here is like how to build a VPC. Okay, in this VPC also we are going to take several components into consideration. First one is like how to what are these public subnets, what are these private subnets, what is an internet gateway, and what is a NAT gateway, and the last thing is like why we do use Bastion host. Okay, these are the basic components, and also the RDS, how to demonstrate the RDS, the building and everything. So now first thing is like let me this is the entry point. So whenever users try to access the URL from the internet, this is a public facing URL. So whenever you are trying to access, this is going to fetch the app. So the app we are going to install in one of the private this is the private EC2 machine, and also here we are going to build one EC2 machines in the another subnet. So basically why we are going to develop into subnets is nothing but because of the to provide the redundancy. So if one AC fails, right, the app is going to the second app is going to serve the purpose. So that is taken care by the ALB because of this health checks and all, right? So next one is in our architecture, right, we are going to use internet gateway, we are going to use a NAT gateway, route tables, yeah. So and also we are going to use this is a Bastion host. Okay, so the basic concept is when we consider a VPC, right, VPC is completely a separate network, right? A local, you can consider as a private network where you're going to decide what is the IP you're going to get to your machine, what subnet, right? And how you're going to route the traffic for the components present in this network. So basically, whenever you're creating a VPC, right, you have to create either you have to create the subnets also, right? This is like a public subnet and private subnet. There are two concepts. Now public subnet is nothing but here, if you see the diagram here, right, we have created one public subnet here in south, one AC. This is another AC. So here also we have created one more public subnet. We can call it as A, we can call it as B. And the subnet what we are given is 10 dot. So the complete VPC what we are taking is 10.10.0.0/16. Right? Now, and for each of the subnet we are giving it as like this. So here you have two public subnets, nothing but sorry, uh, 10.10 dot. This is nothing but 1.0/24. Sorry, here I'll write. So this one is 1.0, this one is 2.0, and we are taking it the private subnets are 11, 12, and 21 and 22 for the database. Okay. Now, as I have told you, right, the complete VPC is this subnet. So we are segregating these IP ranges in the following subnets like 1.0, 2.0, 11.0, 12.0, etc. So the purpose of this internet gateway. So whenever I am going to build one EC2 machine in the subnet, right, it's going to get the IP of 1 dot some x. Suppose 10.10.1.20/24. This is the IP which is got by the EC2 machine, which is placed in the public subnet. Now you cannot go and connect to the internet with this IP, right? Because the router in the internet is going to drop this packet. Now it has to have some public IP to it. So we are going to attach one public IP here to this machine, right? Then with the help of that public IP, it's going to communicate to internet. So these are all public facing, right? As long as you attach a public IP, you can communicate to inbound as well as outbound. You can connect your machine to the internet. But if you are not assigning any public IP, then you are not going to connect it to the internet, right? So inbound, you cannot SSH with port 22. If you are having public IP only, you are going to SSH. So this is the purpose of internet gateway. So internet gateway, what it does, it routes the traffic in and out of the VPC for your public subnets, right? Even though you are assigning a private IP here, you are going to attach one public IP here to the machine, then only it's going to access. The same purpose of Bastion host, we are doing that. So we are going to, so basically if you consider that Bastion host is like a jump server which has one interface as public IP and other interface as private IP, that is nothing but whatever the subnet you are placing, that IP you will get. For example, you have attached you have a public IP to it. So 2.2.2.8 and private IP is 10.10. Here some 1.30. So from our laptop, which has a public IP again, is going to SSH to port number 22 to this IP, and internally this is anyhow we are giving a 10 network to complete all the machines, right? Here this machine, this machine, everything has a 10 network. So internally it's going to communicate with the 10 network. So 10, if you allow ICMP, right, it's going to ping all the servers internally. But these servers, the servers which are placed in the private private IP subnet range, right, they cannot go to internet. So the only way they can reach the, because suppose we have we have built one app here, right, in the private subnet. Now this machine wants to access Python files or installation, some patch. How it's going to reach the internet? Because it's having a private IP, right? It's not going to be, and we are not going to attach any of the public IPs to any of this private subnet. That is not considered as a good design. Now they are going to reach internet with the help of NAT gateway, right? So NAT gateway is responsible for these guys to reach the internet. Outbound. Inbound is they cannot reach because we are not going to attach any public IP. So only downloading the patches and all can be possible with the NAT gateway. Here, same thing, internet gateway is responsible for the inbound and outbound traffic only when you are attaching a public IP to these machines, right? Here the NAT gateway is nothing but it attaches one elastic IP. Elastic IP is nothing but a static IP. We are going to give a static IP, public IP, so that the outbound traffic goes and hits the internet. So this is the basically architecture. Now as and I start configuring all the servers and all, I'll try to explain all what is the different concepts in it. And one important thing I forgot, so routing, route tables. So route tables are the one which are going to decide here. There is going to be a route table for private subnets and route table for the public subnets. This route table is the one who is going to decide where to send the traffic. For example, all the machines, right, which are placed in the public subnet. So default route we are going to give it as a internet gateway. And for all these machines, we are going to give default route as NAT gateway. So that being said, let's jump on to the configuration. So as we start configuring all these things, we'll come to know in detail. Now let's jump into the configuration part, and I'm started with VPC. Let's search for VPC here. So I'll open it in a new window, and then we'll try to create the VPC here. So this is the default VPC. So create a VPC, and you have to give some name here. For example, we have given some ShopSmart VPC, and you have to give select one subnet. It's like 10.10.0/16 will give. It's a supernet. Okay, then we can give it as 24, or for example, we'll give it as a 16. Now everything remains default. You can check once and you can hit on create. So now let's check whether the VPC has been created or not. Yeah, if you see right, the VPC is created. The next step is to create subnets. So as I have told you, right, we'll create some subnets in the public as well as a private subnet. That is determined by attaching the specific internet gateway to it. So let's jump into create subnet. So we'll select the VPC. So ShopSmart VPC will select, and we'll give some name. Name, for example, is just like a public subnet A, and we can place this subnet inside one AZ. So we'll select AP South 1A as first AZ. So here we have to give a subnet over here. So we can give it as like a 10.10. Some say for example 1.0/24. And you can hit on create. So what we'll do now, we're going to create one more subnet. We have going to select the same VPC. So this is for the one more subnet in the public subnet in AZB. So we are going to name it as B here. So we're going to select the particular AZ like South B, and we are going to allocate subnet to it. Like for example, we can give it as 10.10.2.0/24. And everything seems to be good. We can hit on create. So one more subnet we're going to create here. These are the list of subnets till now what we created. One more subnet is select VPC, and we are going to create a subnet for the app. So we are going to place the app in the private subnet. So that's the reason we're going to give it as app private, and select the AZ1, and that's not the AP South 1A. And we are going to give a subnet with, like for example, where we can give like 10.11.0/24. Yeah, I can hit on create. One more subnet we are going to create. We're going to create a subnet. Okay. So this one is for the AZB. So app private B. So we're going to select the one B, and we're going to allocate one more subnet to it. 10.10. This should be 12.0/24. Yeah, so far everything is good. We can create, and now we're going to create one more subnet. Select VPC, same thing. Yeah, this should be like a DB subnet. I'm going to place it in AZ. Now we're going to allocate separate subnet to it. /21.0/24.
Okay, you can select the filter as a particular VPC, and that is going to list out all the subnets present in the particular VPC. So these are the subnets what we have created now. So now we'll go to creating the internet gateway. This is like an internet gateway which is responsible for providing the internet to the machines which are present in the public subnet. So we'll name it as ShopSmart IG, and we can create an internet gateway. So after that, we have to attach it to the particular VPC. So we'll do the attachment here. Just select the VPC, make sure it is correctly selected, and then hit on attach internet gateway. Okay, next the routing part will take up in the next video.